When I met Amara, she was speaking French to a waitress in a small bistro in Montreal. The way she moved her hands when she talked, how her laughter curled around every syllable. It wasn't just the language. It was her fluency and charm. I didn't speak up right away. I let her finish her conversation, and when the waitress walked away, I casually asked, "Did you tell her I looked like I was lost?" in perfect French. Her eyes widened, not in embarrassment, but interest. She smiled and said, "I didn't think you'd understand." That was the beginning. Amara was born in France, raised in Toronto, and could float between cultures with ease. French at home, English in the world, sarcasm fluent in both. I grew up in Chicago, learned French because my grandmother insisted on it, and held on to it long after she passed. But I never told many people. It was one of those skills you keep tucked in a drawer until you need it. And I didn't need it, not with Amara. Or so I thought. We were married 3 years before I met her family. Not because they lived far away, just a few hours' flight, but because, according to her, they're intense, judgmental, old-fashioned. I believed her. I believed everything back then. When she finally invited me to her parents' anniversary celebration in Quebec, I was honored. Nervous, too. I asked if she wanted me to brush up on my French. She waved it off. "They speak English fine. Don't stress yourself." So I didn't. I let her guide me. I stayed close, shook hands, smiled, ate whatever they served. I laughed when her cousins told jokes I barely caught, and I nodded through conversations that danced too quickly for my ear to catch every word. Except, I did catch every word. I just pretended I didn't. At first, it was harmless. Little things. Her aunt whispering, "He's more polite than the last one," and her mother replying, "Let's hope he's not just another phase." I let it slide. They didn't know I understood, and it didn't matter. They didn't really mean it, right? But then came the second night. A long dinner table under gold light. Amara sitting 2 seats away, laughing with a cousin. I had stepped out to take a call, and when I came back, the conversation shifted. They didn't notice I was behind them. I sat down quietly, poured myself more wine, and listened. What I heard stopped me cold. Her uncle asked something in French, lightly, jokingly, but the response changed the air. "Alors, comment ça va avec lui?" So, how's it going with him? And Amara, my wife, smirked. "Il Johnny, mais un peu bête. Il croit tout ce que j'ai dit." He's sweet, but a bit dumb. He believes everything I say. The table chuckled. She went on. "Je ne lui dis pas tout. C'est plus facile comme ça. Il n'a pas besoin de savoir ce que s'est passé vraiment." I don't tell him everything. It's easier that way. He doesn't need to know what's really going on. Her cousin leaned in, raised a brow. "Et-il ne comprend pas le français, non? And he doesn't understand French, right?" Amara laughed, open, full, careless. "Non, il comprend 3 mots, peut-être. C'est parfait." No, he understands maybe 3 words. It's perfect. They laughed again, loud, careless, like I wasn't even there, like I wasn't real. And I sat there, stone still, glass in hand. I didn't blink. Not because I was hiding what I knew, but because I was trying to keep from breaking. That moment, I can't even describe the flavor of it. It was a cocktail of embarrassment, disbelief, and a kind of slow-burning heartbreak. I had loved her so deeply, trusted her so blindly, and here she was, turning me into a punchline in a language she didn't know I carried in my bones. I didn't confront her that night, or the next. Instead, I let the week unfold like nothing had changed. I smiled. I played my role. I kissed her goodnight. And when we flew back home, she leaned on my shoulder like nothing had happened, like I was still hers. But something had shifted, quietly, like a book closing. I started noticing more. Calls she'd take in the hallway, texts she'd delete quickly, the way she spoke to her friend Camille in French when she thought I was in the other room. I listened now, closely. She didn't just lie about me to her family. She lied to me, often, sometimes directly, sometimes with silence, but always with that same ease she had when she ordered wine in a foreign cafe, confident I wouldn't understand the layers underneath. I began writing everything down. Dates, words, conversations, all in a leather-bound notebook she'd never open. I wasn't planning revenge. Not then. I was just trying to find myself in the mess. Trying to understand how I became the man in her stories who wasn't enough. How I went from partner to prop. and what it meant to love someone who could smile in your face and lie in a language they thought you couldn't hear. I don't know when the notebook stopped being about observation and started becoming something else, something heavier. At first, it was just notes. Dates. Words she said. Translations of the French conversations she didn't think I could understand. But soon, it was more like a journal. A place to pour the questions I couldn't ask her out loud. Does she really think I'm stupid? Would she have married me if I spoke French from the beginning? What else has she lied about? There's a loneliness in hearing the truth before someone's ready to tell it to you. It makes every shared smile feel fake, every late night, "I love you," feel like a performance. But I didn't leave. I didn't even confront her, not yet. Instead, I waited. I watched. There was one night that still sits in my chest like a stone. Late September. We were hosting her coworkers for dinner. Just a few of them. People she said didn't matter. No need to impress them, she told me. But I noticed how she changed her outfit 3 times. How she arranged the wine glasses by color. How she dimmed the lights just enough to make the kitchen glow like a magazine ad. Camille was there. Her friend from Montreal. The one who always made me feel like I was eavesdropping in my own home. They spoke in French the whole night, of course. Said it was easier that way. They smiled at me between sips of wine like I was the pet dog sitting nicely at the table. And I sat there, quiet, attentive, cutting my steak while Camille asked Amara, "So he really still doesn't know?" "Know what?" I said, looking up, smiling. They both froze. Just for a second. But it was enough. Camille laughed nervously. Nothing, nothing. Just teasing." Amara's eyes narrowed. Not obviously. Just slightly. Like a mental note being made. That night, she waited until we were brushing our teeth to ask, "How much French do you understand again?" I shrugged. Not much. Enough to order coffee. Enough to get by in Paris. She studied me through the mirror. "You should learn more. You'd fit in better." Fit in where? I wanted to ask. With your friends? With the lies? But I just smiled and spit toothpaste into the sink. The truth was, I already understood more than she thought. A lot more. Her stories were unraveling. There was one in particular, an ex, apparently. Jean-Luc. She told me once, offhandedly, that they'd dated briefly, nothing serious. But I'd heard his name mentioned more and more in her French conversations with Camille. The tone wasn't casual. There were sighs, smiles, phrases like, "Tout y sauvins quand on est caches derrière l'église." Remember when we hid behind the church? That wasn't a nothing relationship. That was a memory you replay when you're tired of the present. I wrote it all down. Another night, she left her laptop open on the dining room table. I didn't snoop. I really didn't. But a message popped up. WhatsApp. The name read, JL locked. I didn't need to click it. My stomach already knew. "Can't stop thinking about that weekend." The message read, "Still your secret?" And she had replied, "Toujours. Always." I didn't even breathe. Just stared at it. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me. I wasn't angry in that moment. I wasn't heartbroken. I just felt quiet. Like someone had turned down the volume on my whole life. She walked in 5 minutes later, humming to herself, and when she saw the laptop, she quickly closed it. "Hey, you okay?" she asked, kissing me on the cheek. I nodded. And maybe that was the first real lie I told her. I started sleeping less. Started going on long walks at night. She thought I was just stressed from work. I let her think that. In truth, I was calculating. Weighing. I still loved her. God help me, I did. That's what made it harder. If she'd been cruel all the time, or distant, or angry, it would have been easy to walk away. But she was soft in the mornings. She rubbed my back when I couldn't sleep. She still reached for my hand in the car. But the truth poisoned everything. One morning, I left the notebook open on the kitchen counter. Not by accident. Not carelessly. Deliberately. Page marked with a ribbon. The latest entry, dated and translated. September 29th. Tu ni lui as jamais dit. Non. Ils trop naïf pour comprendre ce genre de choses. You never told him? No. He's too naive to understand that kind of thing. I waited in the living room. Coffee in hand. Calm. She came down 20 minutes later, hair still wet from the shower, wearing that oversized sweater she stole from my closet. She stopped when she saw the notebook. Her face changed. First confusion, then recognition, then fear. You wrote this. I nodded. You understand all of it. Another nod. She didn't say anything for a long time. Just stood there, holding the back of a chair like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Then, softly, how long? I looked at her. Really looked. Since Quebec. Her knees buckled slightly. She sat. Quiet. The silence was heavy, like fog. And I didn't speak. I wanted her to. I wanted to hear what kind of truth she'd tell now that she knew I'd been listening all along. But she didn't speak. Not yet. She just stared at the notebook, eyes wide, as if it were a loaded gun. She hadn't known I could understand her language. But now, she had to answer for every word. Amara didn't say anything for hours. She moved around the apartment like she was walking through smoke. Cautious, quiet, glancing at me like I might erupt. But I wasn't angry. Not in the way she expected. I was past anger. I was standing on the other side of betrayal, in a place where everything is still and cold. That night, I sat at the kitchen table long after she'd gone to bed. The notebook still open. Her coffee mug still half full. The last page I'd written ended with one question. If you loved me, why did you need to lie? I must have stared at that line for half an hour. The next morning, I woke up to find her sitting at the table where I'd left it. Same chair. Same sweater. Her hands were folded in front of her like a student waiting to be scolded. I read all of it, she said quietly. I nodded. I didn't know you understood that much French. I know, I said. You counted on that. She looked away. You were never supposed to hear those things. Not like that. But you said them. Her eyes welled, and she bit her lip like she was holding something back. She always did that when she was uncomfortable. I used to think it was cute. I didn't mean for it to become real, she said finally. What didn't you mean? The stories. The lies. I was trying to impress them. My family. Camille. I thought if I made myself look like the one in control, the one who had a man wrapped around her finger, they'd, I don't know, respect me more. I didn't say anything. Let her talk. And Jean-Luc, she continued. It was stupid. We never met up. Not physically. We just flirted. Old habits. You told him it was still your secret. It was just a phrase. I didn't. You protected a memory, I interrupted. Not me. Not us. Him. She looked like she'd been slapped. But I didn't raise my voice. Didn't even shift in my seat. You made me the fool in your story, I said. And I kept thinking, what version of me do they see when you tell it that way? Some clueless guy who doesn't speak the language, who's lucky to be at the table. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but she didn't wipe them away. That surprised me. Amara hated crying. She used to say it made her feel weak. I didn't hate you, she whispered. I just didn't know how to be honest. Not with them. Not with myself. You were the one thing in my life that made sense. And I was scared if they saw that, they'd take it away. They didn't have to, I said. You did that on your own. She flinched like the words hurt, and maybe they did. Maybe they were supposed to. I thought about walking out right then, packing a bag and leaving the notebook behind as a final message. But instead, I stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the street below. Early morning haze, the kind that makes the world look washed out and unfamiliar. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to destroy her. I just wanted the truth to weigh as much on her as it had on me. When I turned around, she was holding the notebook against her chest. I want to fix this, she said. I know I don't deserve that chance, but I want it. I believed her in a way. But belief and trust aren't the same thing. I don't know if it's fixable, I said. I don't know who I am in your life anymore. I do, she said. You're the only real thing in it. Her voice cracked when she said it. And for a moment, I saw the woman I'd fallen for. The one who used to sing to herself while watering the plants, who danced barefoot in the kitchen on rainy days, who once cried watching a commercial about a lost dog. But I also saw the woman who called me naive in front of her cousins, who laughed behind my back in a language I loved, who built a second story about our life, one where I was small. I'm going to stay with my sister for a while, I said quietly. I need time, and you need to think about why lying felt safer than honesty. She stood up, tears still falling. Will you come back? I don't know, I answered. But next time you speak about me, whatever language, it better be the truth. I took my coat. The air outside hit like a wave. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel free. I just felt empty. But as I walked down the block, one page from the notebook fluttered in my coat pocket. A loose one I hadn't noticed. I pulled it out. It was something I'd written weeks ago. A quote from Camus, scribbled in a moment of clarity. Fiction is the lie through which we tell the truth. And I smiled. Because for once, the fiction was over.